Ladies and gentlemen, this is a part 2 of our topic on how do you use Instagram to sell globally. And this is a very useful topic for all the SMEs out there. And here with me, Mr. Tim, of course, is going to share your knowledge on Instagram and how do you use this platform to sell and find customers from all over the world.
Yeah.
So earlier we were talking about how Instagram evolved and now is a very powerful marketing tool. So can you share a little bit about how SMEs out there, especially the small companies who are very prominent on Instagram, how do they use analytics to strategize and to find ways how they can better improve their performance?
Okay, so if you're talking about SMEs who have global expansion plans, and I think the analytics section of Instagram is a modern marvel. It boasts a very powerful tool basically to understand customer preferences, where is your traffic, and how often people see your posts and contents at different times. So it really presents a whole overview of how an SME can say, okay, you know what, this is the data that I have in front of me, how I can actually utilize that to either to go with the same plan or expand into different options for attracting audiences of their choice, right? So one key thing that SMEs that use Instagram can utilize is the country section, the country and the demographic, audience demographic section, right? So it really gives you a big lowdown and easy to kind of understand lowdown of where your customers are, in which country is the most of your followers from, and more importantly, which state in that particular country. So in terms of having content that drives that, SMEs can now begin to understand that, okay, because of I have a lot of followers in this particular section, I want to say, okay, I want to grow into an audience in, for example, Indonesia, right? My followers are 90% Malaysian, right? So how do I do that? So there comes the question of saying, okay, how can I utilize Instagram's tools to be able to run location settings that is set to, for example, Jakarta, right? And more importantly, what kind of content that I can create that is relatable to country A or Indonesia, for example. So these are the few questions that SMEs need to ask before getting into a global expansion, because it's very, very important to identify that Instagram is, by its very nature, social, and social comes with backgrounds of culture, racial, and more importantly, preferences that is very different from market to market or country to country. So by identifying your KPI, where you want to go, which country do you want to hit, right? And then identifying and understanding the customers within that demographic, then it relates back to you creating content that is relevant. That's one of the key steps that SMEs can take for them to be able to scale globally.
And of course, for those who do not know, to see all this insights, you have to have a business account on Instagram.
Definitely. So the first step is to change or convert your personal account that you're running your Instagram for your business, change it to business. There is you can just go on the settings on the top right, and then you send a request to Instagram to convert your personal account to business. And then you have a little button. Once they approve it, there's a little button called Insights. So when you click on Insights, down comes all the data of the current page at the moment.
And of course, to see the results, you have to give it time, no? Because any brand building initiative, it requires time.
Definitely.
But like what you said earlier, it has to be consistent. So SMEs must, what's the cycle like for SMEs to see some results of their initiatives?
Okay, so if you're starting an Instagram account from scratch, what we have seen is that it takes at least 6 months for you to see considerable results from the little nuggets that I've shared with your audience today. So it's the consistency, it's the content quality, it's the networking that you've done on a daily basis, and you expand that to 6 months. I would probably give maybe up to 4 months. You can probably see some results as well. But at 6 months, you can see some significant results from starting from zero.
So and Tim, let's talk about big brands out there. For example, Kylie Cosmetics, you know, they're from the Kardashians now, but she's a Jenner, so she's Kylie Jenner. So Kylie Cosmetics is a very, very big brand now, multi-billion company, in fact. So what's interesting that I've discovered, they don't really invest a lot in advertisements like in newspapers or magazines, but they do use a lot of Instagram. So how can SMEs emulate Kylie Cosmetics strategy?
Oh, I mean, it's perfectly possible for any SME to create a scenario that is similar to Kylie Cosmetics, and but also before we actually get into the kind of tips and tricks for how SMEs can do that, it's also very important to identify that there are certain business niches that do thrive better in Instagram, right? So because most of the times where either you're selling a service or you're selling a product, these products for certain niches are perfect for visual settings, right? So if you're talking about cosmetics, that's one thing. Fashion, fitness, health and lifestyle, where Instagram is the perfect setting for you to take visual settings, audios, photography, high-res photography. So usually these business niches is easier for them to thrive. But however, for most SMEs, especially in Malaysia, that runs a lot of common and traditional businesses, there are a few ways that you'll be able to kind of formulate or create in terms of your content that would allow your potential customers to follow you and to know you on the space, right? So one of the many things that you need to start off as a business in Malaysia is to identify your brand voice. What is unique about your company, and identifying that down with your marketing team is essential, because the way you speak on Instagram would reflect that as well. So for example, if you're talking about Kylie Cosmetics, just for an example, so Kylie Cosmetics brings out a few keywords that I could think of: trendy, looking beautiful, confident, women empowerment, right? So these are the few themes that Kylie plays around to be able to grow her cosmetic brand. So it's very important to just keep your brand themes to 3 to 4 keywords to stick it to that, right? The second thing that is very, very important for SMEs to ride on the similar hype as successful companies is to understand what your potential customers would like to see. Understand what kind of value that you can bring to your existing or potential customers in the Instagram space, right? So we are in the game of soft selling via Instagram. Gone are the days where we talk about hard selling and direct selling and saying, hey, buy my product right now, get into my service right now. Instagram is more towards how much value you can provide to me first before I can say, okay, I trust your brand, right? So one of the many things that we work with our SME or very corporate-based companies is that we build infographic posts specific for their client, for their customers towards their business, right? So infographic posts is one of the most effective way for you to educate, for you to interest, or for you to entice your potential customers as a business. Because if you're talking about a bank, for example, wanting to bring in future customers to buy their loan products. So you can come up with a general report of loans in the market of Malaysia at the moment. So these people who are actually interested in buying loans would be valued, right? They will find that post valuable to them. And when they go back to that person, it's that particular bank, and be like, oh, okay, that's interesting because I never knew about this thought, right? So easy to highlight as well. For example, you've done great things in Madrid as well, showcasing infographics about how SMEs can benefit, right? So these are very, very simple practices that one SME can put in to ensure that their customers are engaged. At the end of the day, the customer is the main focus. So keep it as that. And also you've got to think about, okay, what kind of content that my customer base would be interested in. And when you provide value, and that value has to be free, right? The chances of them getting back to your service and paying for you for your service is extremely high.
I see. So in a nutshell, it's not really about what we want people to know. It's not about what you want, but it's about what the audience want.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So the key things here is really to identify what your target market wants,
yes,
and work around that messaging.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So talking about the demographics on the social media platforms, right?
Yes.
Twitter, for example, from our experience, is very business centric.
Very.
Yeah. Facebook is a little bit more generic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What about Instagram? Do you find a professional community there?
Instagram is definitely more of a platform that brings out a lot of creative designers, brings out a lot of videographers and people who are very familiar with image creation, right? You definitely get a lot of professional people getting onto Instagram because beyond running their own business, they have their social life as well. So Instagram takes social as its precedence, and essentially when businesses get into that platform, they have to kind of obey those rules as well, right? So you still get a lot of businesses here. And recently, Instagram just reached his iconic 1 billion monthly active user milestone, right? So that's huge for any businesses to say that, okay, you know what, this is a place for me to be able to set up business. I need to understand the rules of Instagram and really take it to the next level.
Yeah, and of course, all these decision makers, the C-level executives, they might be they probably are on Instagram.
Definitely.
But the content that they post would be about themselves.
Yes.
So you can definitely associate your brand to them by tagging them. Do you think it's rude to tag people that you do not know just for the sake of getting more likes?
Well, I think tagging a person, if it provides value to that person, it's perfectly fine, right? But I've seen a lot of pages provide that kind of random tag into a thing that is not relevant for them. And naturally, if it's definitely going to be a real follower. If he sees that if it's not valuable and you're doing this like 3 or 4 or 5 times, right? He'll probably unfollow you. So
so that's a risk you have to take.
Definitely. And great that you mentioned that CEOs are currently in there, but also want to kind of highlight that Instagram is a very millennial-esque kind of platform. So you're talking about majority of those people are people aged from 19 years old all the way up to 35 to 40 years old as well. Right? So these are the millennial group that are very tech savvy. They are in trend. There's probably high social status as well. So and they are very influential. Right? So these are the kind of people that you're talking to.
And of course, it has a lot of that entertainment values, personal branding. So naturally, human beings, they are prone to this kind of factors.
Factors and entertainment.
So how do you build your customer brand, your customer equity as well as brand equity through Instagram?
Okay, so if you're talking about brand equity and customer affiliation towards the brand, right? So as the name suggests, social media marketing in general is ultimately social in its nature. So the benefit only happens when there is social interaction and engagement with the direct consumer. So businesses need to really take this up to the next level on a daily basis because it's never been more important now for you to be more interactive, more engaging, more customer-centric in the online world that we live today. And by engaging with that now, the great thing about social interaction is that rapport or brand equity is built naturally because you're providing a value drive that occurs to the customer. So in the world that we live in, when you wake up in the morning, whether you realize it or not, there are multiple brands around you where you drive to work, where you get up and brush your teeth. There are multiple brands around you that are battling to get your attention. Now, and that's old school marketing, right? So you put in a brand like Colgate and you see that and people are just wanting to get into saying buy Colgate, right? But now, in this new era, it's more about asking the customers what they want. It's not about saying, hey, I'm here, buy my product, but hey, what is valuable to you? Right? What helps you to make your life a little bit better? Right? So, and when SMEs start to realize that they can use Instagram to speak directly to their customers to ask them what they want, now that's that's brand equity in itself, right?
Yeah.
People will be able to say, oh wow, instead of you badgering your ads right in front of my face, now you are a business entity that's here to kind of solve my problems, and I trust you more.
Okay. Well, Tim, one last question. What is your projection on Instagram? What would it be in the future in terms of helping SMEs to do their marketing globally?
So Instagram has been growing from length to length ever since it started 8 years ago, and I don't think that there's any point of in time that they're looking to slow down in the next 5 to 6 years or so. It reached its iconic 1 billion users in a month, and as more and more people begin to grow, Instagram is not slowing down. And what I'm also am happy of the fact is that Instagram is owned by Facebook, and Facebook's vision is very clear, and it has never changed ever since from the beginning. They are looking to connect people around the world, and they've just hit their 1 billion usership about a few years ago. They're not, there's no signs of them slowing down. They're looking to grow into, their goal is to get 6 billion people in this world to connect. Despite of the whole conversation about them and trade wars with China, I don't think that, as an SME business, there's nothing to be worried about, because, Facebook's avenue is larger than that.
Okay.
So, in terms of, their presence globally, there is always 1 or 2 areas where SMEs can get into, and the quick advice that I want to kind of push out to SMEs if they're looking to go global is that they should work and consider working with local agencies. Local agencies that understand social media, because what they do know is that they are from the same culture, they are from the same background, they are able to create content that is so native towards that particular country. So there's something that is a little bit less of a worry, and you're only spending with that one person. So it's really a win-win situation for SMEs. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Tim. I think we've run out of time.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And I hope that everyone out there who watches this episode will benefit from the insight that you share.
So.
And for those who might want to ask a follow-up questions, please reach out to us on all our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. And on Instagram, our handle is MadridHQ, and I will put the social media address over here. And if you have anything, just let us know, and we'll be happy to get back to you. Thank you so much, team, and we'll see you on the next episode. Bye. You want to have a more tea? No, it's a bit cold, but
oh, it's fine.